How would you describe the Minnesota Twins through their first couple weeks of the season and the reaction from the fan base?
Yeah, it's been a rough 11 games, and the last 3 days, 4 days, whatever it's been, have had some of those games that have had just very difficult losses. Blowing the 6-run lead on Sunday at home against the Astros. You have a series win lined up in your first home series of the season. To blow that was really rough. And then last night, one of the things that's really bugged them early on this season is they just haven't had stability from their rotation. And this is a very good rotation on paper. Fangraphs had it projected as the fifth best rotation in baseball going in. And until last night, they had a 6.90 ERA for their first 10 games. And they haven't, I think they've had two guys go into the sixth inning. They have been hit in the face by the shovel a few times so far. The snow shovel has been out, and really it's been a tough 11 days. And, fans came in angry anyways. Fans have not forgotten last season's collapse. Fans want the team's sale to be complete. Attendance was down over that first three games severely. So that fan anger was already, or fan morale was already pretty low. And obviously it's not the kind of start they were looking for.
I know it's cold up there in old Minnesota. You talked about Carlos Correa, but nobody's hitting on this team. Well, Correa is going to be better. Buxton is got to be better, but you just look at it, it's like Wallner's doing okay, but the rest of the team, Castro struggling, Larnick struggling, all of them are struggling. Is it the weather or is it something else that we're not looking at here?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I was looking at it yesterday, and the OPS pluses were I think Castro was above 100. I think Wallner was above 100. Everybody else, like Carlos Correa, was -7 going into yesterday. He had a 318 OPS. He's had a little weird season because there's been a lot of hard contact that found gloves early on. His exit velocity that first 6 games was up. He started to dial in far more, and you could see it Sunday. I think he had 2 walks and a single, and then his at bat against Ursig late in the game on Monday was fantastic. He struck out, but it was a 12-pitch at bat, and he was just missing. And so last night, he faces Reagans and doubles to right center in the first at bat, and that's the only guy on the team that even came close to touching Reagans. And he had another double later, but then of course the double play ball in the key situation happened, and it just feels like that's what's happened with the Twins so far. Is you'll get individual moments, but nobody is stringing hits together.
More in a minute, but first, a quick word from our sponsor of this video. Kratz, do you like spending an hour on grocery shopping?
Nope. Speed up the process, please.
Introducing Hungryroot to the FT fam.
Now we can all be bougie with our own personal shopper to handle the food shopping, including Rex, based on what you're looking to put in your body.
I stack my Hungryroot box with items like gluten-free, dairy-free blueberry waffles for breakfast, shrimp veggie bowls for lunch, and a little filet mignon with potatoes and broccolini for dinner.
You can also say just, hey, Hungryroot, I eat paleo, or I'm vegetarian, and they load up your cart with personalized recommendations.
And those recs keep evolving as they learn about what you're into. Also, no BS, as in no artificial sweeteners or preservatives in any of Hungryroot's food. You're going to love Hungryroot as much as FT does. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/FT and use code FT. That's hungryroot.com/FT, code FT to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. And now back to the video.
The offense is just, they've had 2 really big innings, but overall the group hasn't been very good. Missing Lewis hurts. Brooks Lee is on the mend, and they hope he can come up and hit. And last year he didn't, except for his first 2 weeks. They really need things to go well. Harrison Bader's leads the team in home runs and RBIs, and he's been batting 9th most of the time, or 8th in the lineup. So it just hasn't gone the way they want to. They really worked on this to avoid it in spring training. They put in a lot of different new tactics. Matt Borg-Schulte is their new hitting coach. The first 2 rounds of batting practice this year were focused, or all season, and it's mandatory batting practice on the field for everybody. But the first 2 rounds are focused on opposite way. Then it's line drives for the 3rd round, and then it's kind of choose your own adventure in rounds 4 and 5. And so they really have tried to do something to limit the fact where when they don't homer, they can find ways to score. And so far that hasn't really matriculated. But, for you guys that did Florida spring training, that it's really hard to get a ton of at-bats there. Like when you're in Fort Myers, the nearest team is the Red Sox 10 minutes away, but then The next one is 50 minutes away. And, Arizona, you have like 5 teams within 50 minutes. So to get 50 plate appearances out of veterans is a really hard thing to do. The Twins had 9 guys out of their 13 with 50 plate appearances. Everybody played. Carlos Correa is on the road, an hour north. Veterans don't typically do that, but Rocco really wanted them to be ready for the season and turn it around. And, last year they were 7-13 over their first 20. They wanted to avoid that, and they were hoping the offense could do that. They got all their work in. It just hasn't happened so far.
You said mandatory BP. Is this like a revelation? Is this like a rule on a team that didn't have rules? Or, I mean, you brought it up, so I have to ask, was it not mandatory before?
It wasn't. So look, they talked a lot about how when COVID hit, a lot of it was individual instruction. Guys were basically, you were limited in 21 to working with a coach at a time. And so a lot of guys got used to hitting indoors, and they wouldn't necessarily, Correa loves hitting indoors. Most of his work would be in the cage. And I think what they wanted to do was get the team together more and observing and talking, hitting, and more like a structured thing. So yeah, I think, in the past, you look at the Twins, they've had a lot of veteran laden teams. Nelson Cruz was the guy from 19 to 21. And it was a veteran established team around them. Last year, they brought up a lot of younger guys. And I think they wanted the older guys working more focused with the younger guys just to keep things together. And that part's been interesting because, it's early in the year, and no team is going to get too demoralized over a rough start, but there's been a ton of conversation in games where hitting has not been there. And you see guys, taking notes and talking to each other, and it's spirited conversation. They're really into it. So I think in that regard, they were looking to kind of keep the group together a little more. And I think that's actually worked pretty well. It's just the results haven't been there. But yeah, absolutely. They changed everything to mandatory. The pitchers talked about how they didn't see the position players this year because usually they were spread out over so many fields working with different coaches or in the cages and doing a lot of individualized drills. And I think, that just was sort of something that started with COVID and the industry. Like Derek Falvey said, it's something that's happened a lot in the industry. They decided to take it the other way. Matt Borg-Schulte brought in some different ideas for what had worked in Baltimore and wanted to kind of prove it and see how it worked. And they're very satisfied with that aspect. Again, they just didn't expect to be 3-8 at this point.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.